What's going on, motherfuckers? Throwing together an update video. Everything this week looks great. AMC has seen nothing but green this week. SPY has seen nothing but green this week. Most of the market has seen nothing but green this week, and there are tickers left and right lined up to see macro breaks, which will be simultaneous gap ups, and it's right there, market wide. So let's start with the S&P 500, as we always do, which has seen nothing but green this week. I said you could expect SPY to find new all-time highs this week. It's kind of looking like that's not going to be the case, although we have seen nothing but green. And the new 52-week high today, 477.55. So roughly $2 away from all-time highs, but I'm kind of leaning that we are not going to be seeing all-time highs this week. I'm not saying it's off the table for certain for tomorrow. I just think that this is going to see all-time highs next week, not this week, and that more than likely will be coinciding with macro breaks. And what I mean by that is AMC, GameStop, and the rest of the market, everything that's synced up, ready to move up. I've been saying for a very, very long time now that SPY finding new all-time highs more than likely would be coinciding with AMC finding new all-time highs. And it still looks that way. Even though AMC is trading at $6 right now, when we do break our macro resistance, it is going to be a straight line directly to the top. And that is more than likely what's going to be happening. SPY is going to gap up and continue past all-time highs, and AMC likely, and GameStop as well. And a bunch of other tickers are likely going to be seeing their macro break gap ups as well. But so far, so good this week for SPY. Nothing but green. In saying that, I don't really see all-time highs on the table tomorrow. Possibly, you could expect a pullback. And I wouldn't expect a close down here, just maybe a drastic wick down and then closing somewhere at the top of this range again, 476, 477. It really doesn't matter. Maybe one more day of consolidation here, maybe one more day of sideways trading here, and next week, all-time highs. This thing is ready to go. So yeah, looks great. Another new 52-week high. Again today, 477.55. This thing is seeing all-time highs very, very soon, and will continue past that. So let's get into AMC now, starting with the macro perspective, as we always do. From IPO, so our January and June squeeze equivalents in the green and yellow, our January, June squeeze equivalents in the green and yellow, the V-shape and macro break gap down in the blue box, the V-shape, the macro break gap down in the blue box, sideways consolidation pattern, and then dropping, knifing into the downtrend. So this is the macro in its entirety. Once again, bull cycle, bear cycle, concluded 2021, reset, bull cycle, squeeze. Bear cycle, again, looking like it's going to be concluding in 2024 now. And again, we're looking for a squeeze with higher price targets here. The downtrend, I'm going to go through on the next slide, how I've been doing it recently. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the macro. I forgot to mention with SPY too, all-time highs in January of 2022. And I've been saying lining up for all-time highs January of 2024. January is next week. So looks like SPY is going to be seeing all-time highs next week. So yeah, I went over AMC's macro, bull, bear, and we're looking for another bull cycle, another squeeze, higher price targets than what we saw in 2021. But let's look at the bear cycle now. So we're going to zoom into the bear cycle, how I've been showing it. And again, your macro break gap down in the blue box, sideways consolidation pattern, and then knifing into the downtrend. Your first bottom, first touch on macro resistance, first bottom, first touch on macro resistance, second bottom, second touch on macro resistance, second bottom, second touch. Then from that second touch, the price action drops below the 200 EMA, which is in yellow, and does not touch the macro resistance again until the flat portion. We have these three peaks, which pokes above the 200 EMA, but not the resistance. Over here, same thing, drop below 200 EMA, all the way down to the flat portion, three peaks, pokes above the 200 EMA, and then the W fake out move, which breaks through resistance, is the third touch, and then dropping down again for another flat portion, approaching our fourth touch on the trend, which will be the breakout and the straight line squeeze that we're looking for. Again, the previous bear phase of AMC transitioned into a bull cycle in 2021, January 2021. And again, it's lining up for a transition into a bull phase, a squeeze, again, January of 2024. January always fucking has been. This chart looks amazing. Absolutely perfect. Now getting into the halt trend itself, this is our macro resistance in red here, our halt line. We are moving to the right every single day, and we are very, very, very fucking close to this trend now. And on top of it, we are curling up here. 4 green days in a row now. And again, here's your first touch, your second touch, your third touch, the fake out. And now we have completely flatlined. Candles, you can't even really see them. Looking at the chart like this perspective, these candles are in such a tight range right now that you can barely even see them. And that's on all-time high volume. And I even checked the monthly chart. This monthly candle is getting pinched down so much in this macro resistance. The range of the monthly chart right now. This is the smallest range, price range that AMC has ever seen on a monthly candle, and we're talking about relatively high volume here, near all-time high volume, which it speaks volumes here. So that looks good. Zooming into that, what it looks like now on the 4-hour. We are now curling up, coming off our spring, our third bottom all-time low landmark. We are uptrending now. I expect that to remain the same. Worst case scenario here, we're meeting our macro resistance next Friday. Worst case scenario. And we don't have to uptrend into it. We don't have to have candles intraday coming to touch this trend. We could just gap up at any moment. But this looks great. We're getting very, very close to this trend. Really quickly, before I move on, I want to look at the bars replay of this downtrend. I want everyone to watch the behavior of this chart around the macro resistance. So we'll start with the gap down, the macro break, into the downtrend now. So here's coming down to the first bottom. Get this choppy W move here. And you work your way back up. Boom. Very volatile, very fast. That's your first touch. Halted. Coming down again. Back up to the resistance. Boom. Very volatile, very fast. Second touch on the resistance. Another halt. Just working our way through the downtrend. Very real market shit here. Here's the flat portion, 2023 flat portion. That was a halt as well. Getting close to the macro resistance. So playing out the flat portion now, coming down to the spring. Here it is. Boom, July. Very volatile price action. Third touch, the fake out move. Rejecting, dropping down again for another flat portion. Pretty much flatlined here. Look at how fucking close to the macro resistance this is getting. Absolutely ridiculous. All-time high volume levels here, and we are completely flatlined, approaching our macro resistance again. I don't know how else I could show it. It looks amazing. All right, moving on from that, and I figured I would just might as well update the Wyckoff now. So I mentioned the flat portion that we're playing out is a picture-perfect accumulation. So I went through this in my previous 2 videos, and really quickly I'll do it again, where you have your preliminary supply, selling climax, automatic rally, sell test, and then you get the move up to the resistance, which is the bigger tri-peak move. Coming down from that, you form a slightly lower low than the selling climax, and then this price action here would be the smaller tri-peak, which doesn't come as high as the bigger tri-peak in the middle. We did not get the full move up to the automatic rally here because of how tight and how pinched down we are, because of our macro resistance. But from that, you break below the level of the range, the support, into your spring. That is where we are now. I mentioned in my last video that we had a potential peak target, OPEX peak target, December 27th. If not, the worst case scenario here would be that we have an intraday uptrend to reclaim support. Now, today's price action, we bumped our head perfectly on 650, which is the support level. What I would love to see here is continued upside here to reclaim support. Probably see a little bit more upside past 650 and then retest on 650 to claim it. And then after that, it's just a gap up. At that point, we'll be so close up against this macro resistance. That'll just be it. Now looking at the Wyckoff side by side of the previous flat portion, the current, everything's marked. It's all the same. I really don't even have to go over it. You can see the similarity here of the price action. So again, January of 2021, your all-time low landmark right here. The spring, your all-time low landmark. The spring, getting very close to macro resistance in red on both sides. You reclaim support from the spring, and then that's it. Gap up right there. January 15th candle right here, that's the end of the macro. We're not even getting this price action here. All these candles here, once we gap up, that's it. It's just going to be a straight line. We're not getting any of these candles here. So pretty much the point here is what we're going to be looking for now is to reclaim support of 650. More than likely, see a little bit more upside past that, and then come back down to retest 650. And then once that retest confirms, we should be seeing our gap up. So that is that. Now, really quickly, I mentioned that we are playing out another flat portion. So the same flat portion that played out leading up to the squeeze in January of 2021, again, straight line volatility once you break macro resistance. This is the same flat portion that we played out in 2023 here when we got the July move, the fake out move. Again, very volatile price action past macro resistance. Which was our third touch, the fake out move, and then rejecting, dropping down lower, we're playing out another flat portion. This price action here, whether you can see it from this view or not, is the exact same price action that you're seeing here, and it is the exact same price action that we saw here leading up to July when we met our macro resistance. So we're approaching the macro resistance the same way we did in July when we got the gap up. We're approaching it again the exact same way, and the same way that we approached it in 2021. Now, really quickly getting into that, look at a side-by-side now. So here was that July flat portion, or sorry, 2023 flat portion that led to the fake out move in July. So dropping down, you have your first bottom here, dropping down, your first bottom, choppy, and then you get the initial bigger tri-peak move in the middle, which is what you're seeing here. And then from that, you come back down and drop down to your second bottom, which is slightly lower than the first. You bounce there, getting into the tri-peak, and then your spring is right here, which is what we're coming off of right now. So really, all we have to do here to complete this iteration is break this micro resistance in blue. The same way we saw here off the spring, you break the resistance, you retest it, boom, gap up. This was the fake out move. The next time we get this move where we break our micro resistance and we get the gap up we're looking for, it's not going to stop. It's not pulling back. It's not retesting. It's just going to be a straight line. And it is possible that this micro resistance line I have drawn here is actually a little bit lower, where it would have been coming over these wicks here, where these wicks would have poked through it. And actually today we would have poked our head on that as well. So bottom line here, looks amazing. Looks absolutely fucking perfect. Really quickly again with the Fibonacci spiral. So running from 2021 all-time low to June 2021 all-time high, and starting the spiral at IPO. Our first touch on the spiral here in 2020, dropping down for the flat portion, and then we had both of our squeezes, the bull phase here, and then the resistance of the Fibonacci spiral is also our halt line. So halting in June, March and August, and the resistance of the spiral is also the resistance, the descending trend line, our macro resistance line. And that is a breakout and a retest on the spiral and approaching our all-time low landmark. It's in now. The all-time low landmark is in now, and we are now uptrending. And what that means is this uptrend that we are currently in will be taking us to the top, whatever target that may be. The only two targets that I have to the upside for AMC are $1,400 and $2,600. Technically speaking, it makes more sense to see $1,400 than it does $200, than it does $300. Worst case, the absolute worst case here is we retest all-time highs at roughly 400. That is the worst case scenario for AMC to the upside. And I think we're blowing right past that. That's just my opinion. But that's it for the fib spiral. And then I mentioned everything synced up market wide. So really quickly, we could take a look at GameStop and GameStop's macro. So again, GameStop's macro begins, ends, whatever you want to call it, with an all-time low landmark. Very common theme around the market, by the way. So the initial all-time low landmark here in 2023, January 2023, Ving out of that, your macro break here, and then your bull phase, your V shape, and then a very curved downtrend back down to your all-time low landmark. This one actually was an all-time low landmark. And then from there, Ving out of that, your macro break, another squeeze, your V shape was instant, can't even see it, and then your 1-2, and then another curved downtrend here. Now, it is very safe to say that the bottom is in on GameStop, having just broke a 6-month downtrend on all-time low volume levels. All-time low volume running all the way back to IPO on GameStop throughout this downtrend, broke out on very high volume and V'd out of this exactly how I said. Now, I mentioned previously that I thought the macro break level for GameStop was $24. I no longer think that that's the case. I think the level is $18.50, $19 roughly. Now, I'm going to get into that on the micro now. Now, in saying that GameStop is coming off of its all-time low landmark, having just broke a 6-month downtrend on all-time low volume. So this is GameStop's all-time low landmark now, and the previous leading up to the squeeze in January 2021, the all-time low. V'ing out of that, finding this resistance here. Then you have a descending W here. You break out of the resistance, you retest, you break out, you retest, and then you curl back up and double top the move, slightly lower, which is exactly what GameStop did here. This looks ready for macro break as well. Now, the price action tomorrow for GameStop, I would probably expect it to be relatively flat. Potentially coming lower, potentially just trading sideways here, end of day curling back up to the 840, 850 level. But again, this looks great. And just a few other examples, or one other example before I go. Ticker BYON. Shout out Black Ops in the Discord. He called this ticker out. This ticker I've been watching is insane. It does not pull back. This is a weekly chart. This is 5 straight weeks of just straight green. This thing does not pull back ever. It's insane. But another ticker that is coming off of its all-time low landmark here. Everything's marked. A very levels-based macro. Very similar levels on all of the landmarks all throughout this macro. Another one coming off of its all-time low landmark, V'ing out of it, and sitting at roughly $29, which is the level previously where things got very parabolic. So another one that looks ready to macro break. Market wide, it's ready to go. Indices look fucking amazing. NASDAQ and Dow Jones recently formed new all-time highs. SPY is right there. More than likely he's going to see it next week, if not tomorrow. I don't think tomorrow. Russell 1000, Russell 2000 all look great. All the indices look great. Market-wide, everything looks good. And on top of it, everything is synced up and about to see macro breaks at the exact same fucking time. MOAS. So with that being said, I will catch you guys in the next video. I would not really expect too much tomorrow for AMC. Really, all we want to do is just maintain our uptrend. Higher highs and higher lows, moving to the right, and working our way closer and closer to our macro resistance trend here. We are very close. So, that being said, I'll catch you guys in the next one.